us again on FBC News, your most trusting news station that updates you on all the news that you need to know. I'm Sophia. Let's get right into it. Today we have a very special show for you, including updates on the Bastille, the Louisiana Purchase, and so much more. Stay tuned to hear all of these. First up, we have two very special reporters reporting to you right from outside the Bastille.
Hi, welcome back to FBC News, your local news station that provides you with all the news you need to know. First on today, the storming of the Bastille. Just now, mobs are breaking and entering into the Bastille and started searching for gunpowder and arms. Why did this happen? What led to it? Here to inform you on what's happening on the science is Gabby.
Thank you, Angelina. On June 17, the National Assembly was signed and put forth. The National Assembly will be a revolutionary assembly formed by the representatives of the Third Estate of the Estates General. The Third Estate makes up 97% of the French population, but we never had a say in what happened in the French government. This enrages the citizens because we aren't involved in decisions that affect our lives. In response, the French people stormed a prison, and this action just started the French Revolution. King Louis will mobilize his troops against the National Assembly and its supporters. People believe that Louis is going to use military force to dismiss the National Assembly. Others believe that foreign troops are coming to Paris to massacre French citizens. Because of this, the citizens of France are storming the Bastille and causing many lives lost, and control was seized. French citizens are capturing and killing the prison commanders and several guards. This may be symbolizing the act of revolution.
Is it true that this may lead to King Louis's overthrow?
Yes, and it may be possible that him and his wife will be executed. They are now transferring gunpowder, and Launay is bringing his men into the massive fortress.
Is it true that huge crowds armed with muskets, swords, and various makeshift weapons are starting to gather around the Bastille?
Yes, it is. In response to this, Launay's men are trying to hold the mob back. But as more and more Parisians are converging on the Bastille, Launay may raise a white flag of surrender over the fortress. It can also lead to his men being sent out to prison.
Wow, Gabby. So the capture of the Bastille may symbolize the end of ancient regime and may provide the French revolutionary cause with an irresistible momentum?
Yes, exactly.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. We'll see what happens with that. Next up is Manuel to talk about how the French wars are being started by the revolution.
With the recent successful revolution, many neighboring countries are fearing similar revolts in their own territories. Austria and Prussia have already took action by urging the French government to restore the king. Our legislative assembly responded by declaring the war this past April. The war started badly. The commander of the Prussian army has threatened to destroy Paris if we laid a finger on the royal family. This and the rumors that imprisoned royalist sympathizers would escape prison and seize control of Paris enraged the people and caused mob massacred royalist sympathizers, leaving over 1,000 royalists dead. Pressure from these mobs were so great that the Legislative Assembly discarded our original constitution and declared our king deposed. The current governing body, the National Convention, abolished the monarchy and declared France a republic. Now stripped from this royal position, Louis was tried by the convention, found guilty, and sentenced to death. This past April, he was guillotined. But the war still continues, as we have suffered many defeats at the hands of the alliance between the European monarchs. But the last month, tides have changed as the Jacobins have drafted over 30,000 men and women from ages 18 to 40. Although we have the manpower, we still need the skill necessary to lead our army.
Wow, what a story! I cannot believe that these wars are occurring on our own soil. We'll be back to inform you on some more after this break.
Are you tired of this war and need some adventure? Well, don't we have something for you? The new hot air balloon. Created by Joseph and Jacques Edme, it was first flown in December about 8 years ago. With this new hot air balloon, you get to travel and see sights you can't see from the ground you walk on. Come join us on the expedition to see the land and war from another point of view. Send a letter to 1234 French Roadway to get your first ride 20% off. Tickets start at $50 per person.
Welcome back to FBC, your most trusting news station. After all the things France has been through, you would think we couldn't go through any more. Well, here to prove you wrong is Manuel.
After all the French people have achieved and suffered, the suppression under a king, the storming of the Bastille, the revolution and the bloody rule of terror, have the lives of the common French people changed? Are their lives better? Can they afford to live? The answer is no. During the reign of the king, the price of bread and other necessary needs for survival rose exponentially. The vast majority of the French people could not afford to eat. This was the reason that revolution was fought and why we deposed the king. And now, during the Reign of Terror, we still cannot afford to buy the amount of bread necessary for our survival. For the more fortunate, they can enjoy their gained rights from the revolution, because they do not have to preoccupy themselves with finding food to eat. But for the commoners of France, the only tangible difference is who to blame for our misfortune.
Wasn't that something? I told you it only got crazier. Let's take a quick break from French news and take a trip to the Americas on the other side of the world and see what's going on over there. Here to tell you the latest news from the scene is Dylan.
And now following up on the Louisiana Purchase. Thomas Jefferson has reportedly commissioned an expedition to explore and discover the land newly acquired from the Louisiana Purchase. The newly created Corps Discovery Expedition is looking to map out the geography and find a practical route across the western half of North America. Captain Meriwether Lewis and Lieutenant William Clark are going to embark in Illinois and navigate up the Pacific Ocean and back. The expedition's main goals are to discover and journal the area's plants and animals, and hopefully establish trade with Native American populations. It's safe to say the citizens of the United States are ecstatic with the news of the Louisiana Purchase and the exploration of the new territory. How about we ask some of our French citizens what they think about this? What do you think about the Louisiana Purchase?
I like it. It's good for our economy, and we're really planning on using it for that.
And how do you feel about the president starting a large-scale exploration of a new territory?
It's good for them. They probably have something of value in those miles of land.
Well, you heard it here. Stay tuned.
That sounds crazy, Dylan. Thank you so much for telling us about it. This just in, the Reign of Terror has officially begun. It all started when the Declaration of the Rights of Men and of the Citizens was created. It stated that men are born and remain free and equal in rights. Then, the assembly got very economical by taking over the church's land and paying church officials and priests as if they were state officials. This offended many citizens.
When I heard of this change, I honestly did not know what to think of this. The Pope should always run over the church. That is a part of the state. The church needs to be independent.
Later on, the Assembly tried to construct a new constitution for France by making changes to France's government and society. They created a legislative assembly, which created wars and accepted or rejected laws. Despite this, old problems like food shortages remained. The split between the radicals and conservatives also grew. This led to the country taking action by urging France to restore Louis' position as an absolute monarch, leading to the National Assembly to declare war. They had many enemies, such as foreign armies like the Jacobins. One of their leaders, Maximilien Robespierre, slowly started gaining power in the beginning of 1793. He and his supporters are set out into building a republic of virtue by getting rid of everything of France's past. Robespierre then became the leader of the Committee of Public Safety. He is now being elected to rule France, and sources are saying that the period of rule is called the Reign of Terror. Here with us tonight is special guest Isabella to talk about this more. So Isabella, why is everybody in France calling Robespierre's rule the Reign of Terror?
Hello, Sophia. Thank you so much for having me on today. Many are calling this rule the Reign of Terror because he is not protecting the revolution against our enemies, which is what his job calls to do. In contrast, he takes the enemies we now have and guillotining them, which means he goes to a machine that beheads them. He states that doing this helps citizens remain true to the ideals of the revolution. To get even crazier, Sophia, he sees a connection between virtue and terror. Terror is nothing else than swift, severe, indomitable justice. It flows then from virtue. That quote directly came from Robespierre.
Wow, Isabella, this is crazy. Is it true that he's guillotining people who are fellow radicals who challenge his leadership?
Yes, Sophia, it is completely true. I saw just yesterday someone being executed just because they were considered less radical than Robespierre. And I heard that Marie Antoinette was among these people.
Wow, that's crazy. So innocent people were being killed?
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Isabella, for being here and answering the questions. Well, that's all we have for you today. Tune in tomorrow to FGCU for more updates and your daily news.